Good morning, everyone, and good afternoon and good evening. I know there are people from around the globe dialing in for this call, so thank you so much. A very warm welcome to the Employee Center Academy May 2025 session. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, the topic for today is experience and service feedback, which is an Employee Center Pro capability. So just wanted to call that out, but yeah. And I'm your host. My name is Pooja Gupta. I lead the team for the outbound product management in this function called Unified Employee Experiences. So this is the team that built Employee Center and an Employee Center Pro and related capabilities. And we love hosting these academy sessions so we can, talk about the good features that we have shared and help you deploy and answer your questions. Now, the Employee Center Academy is a monthly series. So you should see recordings posted for this on our community channel, and we will be sharing a link for all of our previous recordings shortly on chat. So look out for that. I definitely encourage you to see this. Like we've been running this monthly series since I think more than 2 years now. And we have really good topics that we have covered from governance to design techniques to individual overview of capabilities and more. We record these sessions, so you don't have to worry about taking notes today. I recommend you to focus on what the speakers are saying and ask your questions. The recordings are available on YouTube as well as community. And we also try our best to post all the Q&A as well as the PowerPoint for this session on community. Now, some ground rules. We do have a set of panelists who are going to be helping us out with the Q&A. So please use the Q&A panel for that. The chat is for all of you to interact with each other. You want to connect. You can see so many people have introduced themselves. Feel free to direct message them, or if you have any comments on the content, you can essentially share on chat. But if you have questions, we are not monitoring the chat. We are only monitoring the Q&A panel because we get a lot of questions and we really like that. Now, like I said, the topic for today is integrated experience and service feedback. We did do this session earlier, I believe last year, but we are doing a revised version of this because we have a lot more new capabilities that we have launched since then, catering to like experience and service feedback. Joining with me is a panel of experts. Ashutosh Nagaria, who owns this capability from a inbound product or like product lead perspective. We have Akash and Arjun from engineering, who are both in the panelists. So don't be shy from going technical. Please ask your questions, and we do have experts here who can help answer. Now, in terms of the agenda, we will go step by step. We'll talk about different capabilities of like, what we provide with feedback. We will demo them as we go through. So it's not slide and demo and then resources. We will kind of go back and forth between slides and demo. So that you're getting full understanding of the system. And please, another reminder, ask your questions. All right. So let's start with an introduction. Now we're talking about feedback capability, and the main goal for feedback that we have built is to gather continuous feedback. And many organizations, when they are, especially when it comes to portal, many organizations, they build it and they don't touch it for like 2 years. But employee needs are always evolving. When you build the first portal, you don't always have a good understanding of like, what every persona in your employee base is looking for in their experience. So the flow of engagement between the person who is building the experience and the person who is consuming the experience needs to not stop when the product is built. It needs to continuously, be there. And that is what will help improve the experience, but also lead to additional business outcomes that you actually deployed that portal for, whether that was driving self-service, driving productivity, improving the experience, improving the engagement, any of those. So, gathering continuous feedback is critical, and it was often difficult to do this because you had to engage in like long form surveys or workshops that you kind of have to create and manage and plan for. We wanted to provide you capabilities that are actually inbuilt in the experience to continuously gather feedback and then also act upon it. And as you do these capabilities, as you implement this, you will see that, it will make it more easier for you to know which features you should be deploying, what specific portal pages are needing more attention, what service requests or workflows are actually, not hitting the mark. So you really get to the point feedback, which help you take informed decisions in your organization. So this is a very important capability. Now, just to give you a very high level overview of this capability, we essentially call it experience and service feedback because we actually divide the capabilities into in these two segments. One is just focused on overall experience. We don't talk about a particular workflow. It's like, as you are experiencing this portal, what your feedback is. And of course, we will talk about all the different configurations, but experience feedback is focused on getting the experience. The service feedback is more catered towards the service that is being offered on the portal. It's less about the look and feel and the UI and the content changing and all of that. It's more about, these specific things that we are doing for you, which are made available on the portal. Are they working for you? So you will see us talk about service feedback. I'll go more deeper in each of these shortly, but these just keep in mind that there are two aspects. And when you are deploying feedback, you kind of have to use both these lens. One is just overarching experience, one is to your service workflows and service experiences. Now, our capabilities are multi-channel. You can actually do it on portal. You can actually capture it on Outlook, email. You can capture it on virtual agent. You can capture it on mobile. I'll give you a walkthrough of those, but let's start with portal. So first one, like I said, is a very simple experience drawer widget. Which you see floating on your portal. We will demo this shortly. You can open it. You can actually have different kinds of questions in it. It could be like a simple smiley rating. It could be, I like something, I don't like something. That's the smiley rating that I'm talking about. It could be a 5-point numeric rating or a 5-point star rating. You also have the ability to deliver surveys here. As a user, you can anonymize your feedback. You don't want to share who you are for whatever reason. Maybe you were too critical in the feedback and you didn't want to be held accountable for it. So you say that I'm going to be anonymous. You can also have like a lot of trigger conditions, both as a user and as a as the feedback configuring admin to avoid feedback fatigue. So, as a user, you can say, remind me later. As an admin, you can say, prompt it only after a certain time delay, once the person has spent enough time on the portal, or things like they have scrolled at a certain point. Now it makes sense to ask for feedback. It's not that as soon as you log in and there's a prompt for feedback. So there's a lot of controls. We also have specific widgets which you can place on very specific topic. So let's say you want to place a particular, you've built a new topic page, and you want to place a feedback widget only for that. Now, this topic page could also be, just a standalone microsite with rich content on it. And there's more room for feedback that you may want catered to what is on that page. You can use a service feedback topic page widget for that. And we will demo this. Again, you have similar configurations, similar fatigue controls, anonymous, and the user can anonymize themselves. You can tie it with a survey. You also have a thumbs up, thumbs down to make it easier to just provide the survey. So those options are there. Then the third one is on a very specific page. So we looked at a generic drawer widget. We looked at a topic page. This one is on a particular page. So let's say you only want it on request pages, or you just wanted on a knowledge article page, or let's say it is your manager hub page. So you can actually define what page shows this up. And like the way these are different, like topic pages actually have the same page, right? They just have different topic IDs. So we essentially have different configurations to control both of them because of that reason. And this is how the survey, irrespective of which of these configurations you use, if you're adding a survey on the feedback widgets, it opens up as a modal window. So you're not like navigated to a different browser, like different tab, or to a different experience to fill the survey. It actually opens as a modal and you stay on that page. So this is an important one to know. And the other thing that these surveys are essentially the out-of-box ServiceNow survey capability. So we integrate with that directly. So if you any of the surveys that you have pre-configured, you can use them directly on the feedback module. Then last but not the least, we also have workflow. So now the workflow is typically, you're triggering the surveys to go when a request is completed. But you may want to capture feedback at different stages in the whole request flow. Maybe it is as soon as someone submits a request and you want to ask, like, how easy was it to find this request or fill this big form that we have created? And often the survey request used to go directly on Outlook. You can actually have it right here on the portal when they have just finished the task. So it's in the moment for the user. So as you can see on the screen, it is a request summary page. You will see it in the demo. It essentially, you have just placed a request and once you finish placing it, you see the request summary, and at the bottom, you see a widget that is asking for feedback. And you can actually set this up at different stages. Maybe it moves from request approved to fulfillment, or whatever different stage that it is moving to. You may want to set up different feedback for different people over there. So that is completely possible. Now, before we break for demo, I just want to show you a few more things. So you can capture, like I said, feedback across channels. And the good thing is that, these feedbacks are connected. So if you have actually provided feedback on the same thing on Outlook, the feedback request on the portal goes away. And when you have the Outlook set up, the same feedback actually shows up um, directly on the Outlook. So this one is a survey. As you can see, once you get the notification that we have received your request, you also get a new floating widget on top of that notification, which you can see in the screenshot on the top left corner here. And it says, give us the feedback. Take a quick few minutes to fill this survey or answer this one question. And it opens up directly in the email. So you're not taken out from that experience into a new experience, and you can actually act directly on the feedback. So this makes it very easy for an end user to provide feedback. Um, Next one is mobile. Now these are different feedback, so they're not always connected with everything that you're doing, especially on the experience side. Workflow side, we can connect them, and we will show that shortly. So experience feedback, and how in Portal we have a drawer widget that just stays on the pages that you have defined it for. Similarly, here you will always have this option. When you click on more, you can see share your experience. And that is a standard place where experience feedback. You don't have a drawer widget on mobile, but you do have this place where you can just go and provide your overarching experience feedback in general. So this is what it looks like on mobile. And then if you are actually configuring the workflow feedback, you can actually see as part of similar to portal, you can see similar like, at the end of the request or wherever you in the stage you have configured it to be, you will show that feedback request pop up directly on the mobile screen. So you can see these examples. Now, we won't be demoing Now Mobile today, but just wanted to show these screens and show that this is very consistent with what you actually configure on the portal side. Last, virtual agent. Again, experience feedback is something that is always available. So when you go on all topics or when you like get your first prompt from virtual agent, you can always configure the give topics, which is the experience, give feedback topic, which is the experience feedback, to be available all the time. So they can always use the virtual agent to provide you generic feedback. And same, virtual agent will provide you feedback request in the flow of the conversation. So once a conversation ends, you can actually have it part of the ending flow that we are requesting for a survey on how this was. You will see where we configure this. We're not going to demo it, but you will see how these are configured once we get to that section. Now, before we get into post feedback loop, which is about how to take action on these feedback, I'm going to hand it over to Ashutosh to very quickly show these capabilities on a portal. Ashutosh, over to you.
Thanks, Pooja. I'll take the screen share. Is my screen visible?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, great. So, hi team. Today we are logged in into the system as Beth Anglin. I am a senior manager at a large IT organization. And as I start my day, I go to my Employee Center portal. I see that there is the menu, there is actionable banners on the page. Once I land here, I see the banners and I see that there is this welcome back to office banner. I have been in office for some time now. I don't think this has been updated for some time. So maybe I want to provide a quick feedback here. I see the quick give feedback button. I click on it. And because I want to change it, I select the options 2 here. And I see what are the key reasons of your rating made mandatory here. And the submit button is disabled. So what I do, I just type out my message that I would expect these communications to change frequently. And as Pooja mentioned, we also have an option to keep it as anonymous by sharing do not share my info. But I don't mind it. I would just go ahead and submit this. I see that we heard you and my feedback has been recorded. As I get along through my day, I see there is news and events in the menu. This is a very interesting page. And one good thing about give feedback button is it follows you where you are in your journey. So basically I was on Employee Center homepage. Now I am on New Center and it is still here and I can provide it if I want to. So I see there is the quarterly update from our CEO. I found it interesting. I click on it. This article, I go through it, I read it. I find there is the market expansion and employee well-being in the pipeline. I find it very interesting. Now I want to provide a quick feedback here. We see that the experience feedback is not present here. This is the configuration that we provide to you that you can select the pages you want and you don't want the experience widget on. So we have not enabled it here and we have enabled something called service in page widget here. So this is a page where we have enabled this. And because I like this article, to give kudos to the team, I just click on happy smiley face and I click on submit button. And my feedback has been recorded and I get along with my day. Now, I have been facing some problems with my laptop. What I do, I go to technology services to get myself a new laptop. Once I land on the page technology services, I see there are various subtopics and I want a laptop. Now, as I go there, the first icon that I see is of the laptop and I really like this experience. I got exactly what I was looking for. So just to give the team a quick heads up that this is a great experience, I just click on thumbs up and I click on submit. Or maybe I also provide a feedback that I found whatever I was looking for very quickly. I just go ahead and submit this. And I go to my requesting the item that I want. I land on the catalog item page. I see this is the MacBook 15 Pro. This is exactly what I want. I'll go ahead and click on order now. I see that my name is already populated. My delivery address is also there. I'll just, in the special instruction, I'll write send stickers because I love them. And I'll just click on checkout here. This basically completes the flow. And I see another option of how would you rate your experience for raising a request. Now, this is what we called a service workflow experience. Because we went through a workflow of requesting something, I am now shown this experience here, now shown the service workflow widget here. I really like this experience. It was really quick and fast, and I want to give a happy smiley face here. And I can just click on submit. Given that I requested a laptop, I go to my email. I find that there is a notification there that this is your laptop request that you raised. And we see there is a take a quick feedback button here. I click on get started. This is the same item that we requested. It is an Outlook actionable survey. I get started with it. I really like this experience. I provide the information and I just click and submit this. And my survey has also been recorded. So this is the email channel for the service workflow experience. This basically covers up the experience widget, service topic page, service in page, and service workflow. We are open to questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Ashutosh. In the interest of time, I'm going to keep going forward and we can take questions via the Q&A panel. So, all right. So you saw these different widgets and how they look and they come together in the portal view. Let's talk about once you have captured all these questions, feedbacks, what happens with that? And what we have built is a post feedback loop, which makes it's not just collecting and catching dust in some table or some dashboard. We've actually made it possible for the owners to take action and, for the whole management to kind of track how many feedback we are receiving and what we are doing about it. So that is all part of the post feedback loop capabilities. Now, what happens is as soon as you have you will see in the configuration that you can set up for a feedback task to be generated for a particular defined set of owners. They could be experience owners or service owners, depending on what kind of feedback you're collecting. And this task is actually managed as part of the same My Task experience, which is available on the portal. And of course, it comes with all the notifications and everything. And as you can see, it is literally a task that is assigned to them and they can choose to resolve. They can also choose to skip. For example, it is something that you have already worked on or it's a irrelevant feedback. I've heard organizations tell me that sometimes people use the feedback capabilities for all the wrong reasons. Um, if it is not relevant, you can skip it and you can give your reason to skip it. Um, and you can also see the details directly from here. So you don't have to go into a different workspace or any other experience to know what is happening on the feedback. So it is central and that you have received some feedback which you want to act upon. So we really like this and we will demo this shortly. You get a feedback task assigned to the owner. Now, once the owner has taken an action, it's often like, the employee who provided the feedback doesn't get any response back. It's like feedback going in a black box. If the feedback wasn't something obvious and you see that change, then, you can be happy. But you don't want to be tracking all of this, right? You want to be proactively told that, thank you for your feedback and we have addressed it, or this is what we have done to address your feedback. Maybe it's coming in the next release or whatever. So once the owner resolves it, they can actually choose to send a notification to the person who submitted the feedback and you can actually provide a summary of what happened, to provide that closure to the person who provided feedback. Now, this of course only works if the feedback was provided non-anonymously. If it's an anonymous user, you can't really track them down and provide that feedback closure. So a lot of people have questions on this. So I just wanted to showcase that we have documented a flow for how this works. Essentially, it is like the task gets created, the feedback owner reviews it, does what they need to do, and then, can mark it complete. They can skip and what happens and when the notification goes out. So we have this laid out over here in case somebody wants to see. But I know you like to see demos, so let's move quickly and I'll hand it back to Ashutosh to showcase what this post feedback loop looks like. Back to you, Ashutosh.
Okay, so now we are logged in as Eric Schroeder. I am a senior director at the same company, and it is my responsibility to manage the portal of our organization. So when I go to my portal, I see there is a new few tasks for me, and I see that there is a new review and resolve feedback by Beth. She provided a two scaled rating on the EC Pro homepage, and the comment is, I would expect the communications on homepage to change frequently. Now, this is a very valuable feedback for us. I can inform this feedback to a news team who updates these banners. And after 2 days, this thing is resolved. And now I have an option to resolve and complete or skip it. So if I click on resolve and complete, I see two options here. Do you want to notify the feedback provider? You have yes or no. And you can also provide the reason here. So if you do want to provide your feedback provider the reason, the you want to provide the comment, you can select yes. Or if you select no, the comment will not go to the user. So we can do this. Apart from this, if the feedback is non-actionable or it is already available, you can also choose to skip this. Once you choose to skip this, you will not be able to reopen it, and this will be recorded only for internal purposes. Given this is a very valuable feedback, I'll just go to resolve and complete, and I'll just say, thank you for this feedback. We have resolved it. And just click on resolve and complete. So now this feedback task has been completed and it is moved to completed. And at the same time, Beth will receive a notification, email notification that her feedback has been addressed. Over to you, Pooja.
Thank you, Ashutosh. All right. Please keep your questions coming. We are a little lagging in answering them, but I'll just nudge the panelists to just take a look at the Q&A and keep answering them, because we are a little pressed on time. So I just want to continue the presentation. All right. And then hopefully we will have some time towards the end to take additional questions, but let's keep moving till then. All right. So here's what you have seen so far. So you have seen what different widgets we have, um, how how you can essentially showcase or capture different kinds of feedback. What happens when you have captured the feedback? Now we will see how do you really configure this experience, and we will try to go slow in like our demo for this because I know this is where a lot of our questions come. But let's get started. Now, there are three things that you are configuring in this. The first one is what we call feedback configuration. So when you will actually go in the backend UI, you search for integrated feedback, you will actually see these three things: feedback configurations, feedback definitions, and feedback analysis. The feedback configurations is where you are actually setting up the overarching configurations across feedback. So whether you want an anonymous response or not, I think there was a question on this. You can set it up over here. Um, what kind of privacy information you want to set up? What are the once you have finished or submitted the feedback, what you want to showcase as a feedback received. So what, like, what is the, like, especially for the drawer widget, where do you want to place it? So a common question that I've received is, hey, we have the drawer widget placed on the right-hand side out of box, but it overlaps with my scroll bar. So people are like, how do I move it? How do I scroll up and down? Because the scroll bar is not visible. You can actually move it to the left if you want. You can move it up and down to, like, make the scroll bar more obvious. So there are different configurations that we do have available, and they're all done in the feedback configuration section. The next step is feedback definitions. Now, this is, like how we showed different widgets. Um, you will want to spend some time deciding how you want to capture feedback, what feedback you want to use for what purpose. What is the right question? You don't want to say how you rate your experience on every single widget. So what is your question? What is the rating scale? Whether you want comments or not, you want to think about it at every stage that you're capturing feedback. And this feedback definitions is where you are defining that plan. So every widget that you're placing in every page or wherever you are, whether you're capturing it from mobile, whether you're capturing it from email, Outlook, email, Outlook is one and the same thing, sorry, or mobile, you essentially need to define it and plan for it. And the feedback definitions is where you are doing it. So the more number of areas or places where you are capturing feedback, the more definitions you will have. Feedback configuration is universal, just to clarify that. And as you can see on this screenshot, we will have multiple different things over here. We will have what content you are using to collect the feedback, the pages, overlay settings, how you are deciding, how to engage with the user, what is the post feedback configuration. We've tried our best to make sure that this is all configurable in one place. So you don't have to jump around while defining the different feedback. You will see this in the demo configured for all the different types of feedback. Then lastly, there was a question on the Q&A as well, which was about where does all this feedback go? So this is a dashboard view. So the feedback is stored within ServiceNow, and you can actually have a dashboard view that helps you analyze what are the different feedback that you have received overall, how has the experience feedback being captured across different pages. Now, the drawer widget is the same drawer widget that floats around different pages, but but it is aware of what page the feedback is being collected from. So if you're on home page and you use the drawer widget to provide feedback, but let's say you move to a different topic page and you have that drawer widget on that topic page as well, the widget is aware, and when you actually see it in the dashboard, you can see it broken down by the different pages that you're receiving the feedback on. So we'll walk you through this dashboard as well. Um, and one more thing, for those who are using user experience analytics, we do capture some of this, especially the experience feedback, I believe, that goes into user experience analytics as events. And we are going to, like, continuously integrate more with user experience analytics, because we do want you to have a single dashboard view or a single place to capture all your feedback. So that is there. And then, of course, to be able to access the dashboard, you need the survey reader role. So just wanted to call that out. So if you're not able to access the role, access the dashboard, you're probably missing the role. All right. With that, I'll hand it over to you, Ashutosh, to walk through the admin settings. And again, this is where we get a lot of questions, so you can take your time to demo this.
Yeah, Pooja. So now we are logged in as system administrator on our instance. We go to feedback definitions. In feedback, as Pooja mentioned, there are three fields, which is configuration, analytics, and definition. When we go to feedback definitions, these are the definitions that control how feedback appears on your portal. What we'll do, we'll create a new definition and walk through this entire experience. So to get started with, I'll set up an experience definition, and the feedback type I'll select as experience. Now we have the widget option as a drawer or a modal, and we have channels as portal, mobile, and virtual agent. Now the what is shown in the feedback widget is controlled by these 5 options. We'll start with the first one, which is the feedback content. This is the setting that derives what content and questions are shown. So first option we see is use an existing survey. So if you want to use a survey in your experience, a service feedback, that is definitely possible. You just click on use existing survey and select any of the out of the box ones, or you can create a custom and select it here. We also have 3 questions available out of the box, which is experience, numeric 5-point, and numeric 5-star point scale. The one that we saw in our demo was star 5-point scale. Now, this is the question that Pooja mentioned, that you would always want to ask a specific question, that how was your experience raising this request? How did you find completing this task? So you can always configure these questions, and this is the additional information label. So once you provide the rating, and if you have enabled the comments, this is what will show up in the rating in the comment box. The last field is additional information requirement. So what this controls is if the comment that the user can provide, will it be optional, mandatory, or mandatory based on rating threshold. So you'll walk it through. So if you keep it as optional, the employee will not be required to make a comment there. So even if I rate 1 or 5, I will not be required to make a comment. Similarly, for mandatory, I will be asked to make a comment irrespective of my rating. And mandatory based on rating threshold configures it in a different manner. So when we select this, we see this rating threshold option. By default, 3 and below is selected. So what this is saying, that ask the 5-star 5-point scale question and ask how would you rate your experience. Once I select that, ask this question, what are the key reasons of your rating? And the comment field should be mandatory if the rating is 3 and below. So I'll quickly go to the instance and show this you in experience, that if I'm providing a rating of 3, I have to make a mandatory comment. But as I select 4, the comment is not mandatory now. So this is the setting that is configured here. As we go to the page selection, so page selection decides on what all pages will your widget be shown. So we also provide this configuration. You have all pages. So if you select this, your widget will be applied to all applicable pages. And if you select this, the other option will be excluded pages. So what this tab is saying, that apply this feedback experience feedback widget to all pages except the ones that I have selected here. For example, if I go to excluded pages and I select, say, EMP taxonomy topic, or say item mobile preview, this is the only page where my experience widget will not be applied. And if I select this, it will ask me to select the included pages. Which ones do you want it on? Next setting is the overlay setting. Overlay setting decides when the widget will be triggered. So we have few options here, which is manual. Basically, you will have to go and click on the feedback button. There is a delay. So once there is, you can set a delay of some time, say 15 or 20 seconds. So by default, we have 15 seconds. And on scroll. So once you scroll to the bottom fold or mid fold, the widget will automatically pop up. The fourth field is user engagement. So this is the field that controls the feedback fatigue. So if I select S7 here, and if what this basically says is, if I provide the rating on this widget today, please don't send this feedback widget to me for another set of 7 days. So you can always configure this. If you have it as 0, so it will keep asking you every time you log in there. And the last tab is post feedback configuration. So this is the feedback configuration that controls creation of feedback tasks. What I'll do, I'll just create this selection. So what this field says is, if the rating threshold is 3 or below, create a feedback task and assign it to this group of people. So the rating threshold is 3 or medium. So anything below 3 or equal to 3 will go to this option, and I have enabled this flag. So this will create a feedback task and assign it to this group of people. So whoever you have in this group, they will get this as a feedback task when they go to their instances, as we saw in the demo in the start. So this basically sums up the entire experience feedback. Now we'll go to service feedback. in page. So the experience remains the same here. You have option to select multiple surveys and out of the box questions. In survey feedback, you have some different set of questions, which is thumbs up and down and emoji faces. If we go to the topic page, we have a new delta of topics here. So I can select the topics which I want this on. So maybe I can select accessories and computers here, or maybe career growth. So this is specifically the pages where this topic page surface feedback will be applied on. And the what contents will be shown. This is still controlled by these tabs that we have here. And last but not the least is the service workflow. So service workflow basically has multiple channels, which is portal, mobile, and email as well. So the demo that we saw in the start, this is a workflow one. So let's select email for this. Now, when we select email, we get a new field for email notification. So we have some notifications created out of the box. So these are the out of the box one available ones. I'll just go to request. Say request was opened. So what this feedback widget is saying, when any request is opened, send a 5-star rating scale and ask this question. You can also use a survey here. So the demo that we saw, I had selected a CSAT survey there. That once my request is opened, for example, when I ordered the laptop, once my request is opened, send a survey, and survey should have this question. Now, a quick catch here is that the trigger condition for the surveys has to be set in the survey itself. So what we'll do, we'll go to the survey here, and we see that we have to enable the Outlook actionable message, and we have to set up the trigger condition here. I'll just show you a one trigger condition real quick. So what this condition says that if a SC request is made and active is true, basically whenever any SC request is made, trigger this flow. And once this flow is triggered, this CSAT survey will be enabled. And basically this all setting is controlled through the survey that you add in this question. In the email notification also, a lot of fields are configurable and controllable. This flow basically decides when to send, who will receive it, and what will it contain. So you can also customize the message as per your organizational needs here. So this basically sums up the experience for creating requests here, survey feedback widgets here. Just to summarize, we saw 4 of them: survey experience, service in page, service topic page, and service workflow. This basically sums up the experience of creating feedbacks. Over to you, Pooja.
Awesome. Thank you. And we're getting a lot of questions on whether the post feedback loop works across different channels. So just wanted to clarify, it works across different channels. Like you saw in Ashutosh, like that, the post feedback configuration is always available. So you can set it up for different channels as well. Um, and then the other question that we are getting a lot is around the assignment group. So you can, of course, define the assignment group. The assignment group functionality is almost like, like the same as what you would have for, let's say you have a request and you are assigning the approval to a certain approval group. It works the same way. So there is nothing different that we have done over here for that. Um, we'll keep reviewing the questions. Yeah, the other question that we are also getting is what release this is on. So feedback capability, Kashutosh, correct me if I'm wrong, this was available early 2024. So this came out pretty long back, but we have been making incremental improvements. So if you want to see everything that Ashutosh demoed, if you want to see all those out of box questions and everything related to that, it was our May release that was being demoed. But Ashutosh, do you remember on top of it when was the post feedback loop created?
Yeah, Pooja. So post feedback loop was created as a part of November release of 2024. And you pointed out correctly that this capability has been available since early 2024. And the demo that I showed, I am currently on the May release of 2025.
Awesome. Thank you. And these are all backward compatible. So, if you are still on a Washington release or a Xanadu release, any of our store releases are compatible by N-2 family releases. So, something that came out in May, although it's part of the Yokohama family release, you can access it on Washington and Xanadu. And then all the feedback capabilities are page aware, the experience feedback. So if you're not seeing that information, it is probably something in the configuration that has been wrong. So look out for that. And if you're still struggling, you can actually um, raise a case task and we can look into it. And then Ravi, who's also on our panelist, there are folks asking for product docs on this. So if you can just share that in the chat, that will be helpful.
Yeah, I just did.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So let's go back and a couple more things that we wanted to cover. Now, the things that you saw demoed on the portal that Ashutosh did. So, like the widgets that were placed on topic page or in page and, the drawer widget, those are all available out of box. Those come pre-placed. So if you are using the out of box topic template, the feedback widget is placed over there. If you're using out of box pages, the feedback widget is placed over there. But let's say you are using custom pages and you don't see the feedback widget there. We wanted to give you a little bit more visibility into what are these different widgets. So we essentially have three different widgets. One is called a workflow feedback widget. This is typically the one that would be tied to like a request page or a knowledge article page. Then there is a flow feedback widget, which is again an in-page widget. And the third widget that we have is a drawer widget. So if you're looking to see where these, like if you want to place a similar experience in one of your custom pages, look for these widgets on Page Designer, and you should be able to place them and get it. We're also highlighting the release versions. To get the email pieces, you do need Outlook actionable messages, which is a capability available for everyone. So just for that Outlook actionable messages, you don't need Employee Center Pro. So you can get it, but you do need to update the latest version to see all the latest capabilities that we were talking about. So hopefully this helps. Now, I want to leave you all with one thought, this is all good. This is all what the product comes with. But ultimately, the effectiveness of your feedback depends on how well you have planned for it. Who are the stakeholders? Who cares about this feedback? Where we should be capturing it? How do we avoid feedback fatigue? Um, what are the trigger points? Um, what is the right question to ask? I think that I've not put it on this slide, but that's a very, very important thing. Somebody was asking in the Q&A, which was a very good question. Like if you go on News Center or you go on a news article page, there are ways that you can interact with that news article page. There is a like button, there is a dislike button. How do you differentiate what is in the feedback request from that like and dislike? So your question that you are asking on that page really depends. Like it depends on that question. So if you're asking, do you like this article? Like, why would you put it in a feedback widget when there is a like widget, like reaction over there? But what if you are asking, do you like the experience of reading news in this format or engaging with news in this format? That question is more specific and more powerful and is different from the social engagement available on news articles. So, what question you are asking matters. And it really depends on that question in terms of how good answers you will get. So, think about that. And then, yes, we have a full feedback loop capability. Yes, a task gets assigned, but you do need to have someone accountable for, whether we are getting good feedback, whether we're doing something on it, there is a reason why that dashboard is super important. So you do want to have someone who is responsible and reporting on that feedback and taking care of that the dashboard over there. Um, I'm going to just leave you all with this screen and then take questions. We, of course, have Academy sessions again. We will have it next month, but I encourage you to go on community and keep track of all the content. We also have a lot of Q&A posted around feedback and some of the other capabilities. We do have a deployment office hour, which is on May 27th, so coming soon. So if you want to continue the questions that are from the session today, I encourage you to join that office hour. Some of the panelists that are here today will also be on that office hour, so we can continue this discussion. If you're focused on employee communications like news and banners, microsites, we have a separate office hour for that, which is going to be on June 5th. And I highly encourage you to join our roadmap webinar. So we want you to know what we are working on. So we definitely share additional details much early than the actual release. So please join those. All right, if you can hang on for a few minutes, that's great. If not, we are going to just spend the rest of the time taking questions. Let's take a look. Okay, so one question is, can I assume that we can use a field from the feedback task to provide specific summary to the user? Something like close notes or something. Yes. So when a person is actually closing, the owner is closing the feedback, the person is actually providing that notes to the submitter. So you can't really tie it with a field. It is onto the owner to actually notify that and add some sort of closing notes for the submitter. Hopefully that works. Can the feedback task be worked from the HR agent workspace if it is related to an HR case survey? So it actually generates a regular task. It goes in the My Task table. So I'm not sure if the My Task table will surface on HR agent workspace. But yeah, it is. So you like, I believe since it goes in a regular task, you may have to do some additional configuration for it to showcase, unless Ashutosh, you have a different answer. But since it's a regular task, I think this should be achievable. Right, let's take a look at a couple more. Yeah, can survey tasks be assigned based on surveys sent through the assessment or survey engine? So you do need to tag it with the feedback definition that we have created. So it's not, you can't have the feedback task independent from the feedback definition because the post feedback loop is tied to it. Now, when the survey can have many questions. So as you probably must have noticed when Ashutosh was demoing, you can define which particular question and rating based on that you want to create a feedback task on. But A, you need the survey connected to the feedback definition. And second, you need to have very specific question that you are looking at to trigger the feedback task. Right. Can we create a custom survey that would roll over with each upgrade, or will we need to rebuild the survey? So once you have built the survey in the survey module that ServiceNow has, then I don't think you need to create a new survey every time you upgrade. So you should be able to just reuse the same one. Now, I don't know what you mean when you say a custom survey. I mean, we are compatible currently only with the ServiceNow survey functionality. So you can build your own surveys over there. All right, there are still a few open questions. We'll keep taking them, but you will have the access to this recording And thank you so much for joining, and have a great rest of your day.